I'm short-term, very short-term positive on Bitcoin, but I do think the midterm is still murky, mainly because we're starting to see this macro data shaping up that's very
Yeah.
concerning. Inflation's inching up a little bit. It's going to make it harder for the Fed to come print money when the economy stutters. If you're a bull, you have something to ride right now saying, okay, price action all of a sudden reversed a down move for once, and we still have higher lows in the chart. Short term, technically, that is a positive for Bitcoin.
During a recent interview, expert trader Gareth Soloway began by expressing his short-term bullish outlook on Bitcoin. In October 2021, Bitcoin reached its all-time high, surpassing $60,000. However, it subsequently experienced a downward trend over the following months, and its price dropped to around $47,000, which was below its previous peak. In 2023, there was a ray of hope shining for Bitcoin. In July, its price managed to climb back above $31,000. Over the past few months, the $26,000 level emerged as a critical support level for Bitcoin. Unfortunately, the cryptocurrency market recently witnessed a significant breach, with Bitcoin's price falling below $25,000. When looking at the chart, Soloway mentioned that there is a chance that Bitcoin might reach a lower low for the first time in a while. Until then, Bitcoin had been making higher lows, which is a positive sign. Analyzing the daily price chart of Bitcoin, Bitcoin price has witnessed a bullish momentum toward $26,500 over the last 24 hours. Recently, Binance U.S. Chief Executive Officer Brian Schroeder left the company and has been replaced on an interim basis by Chief Legal Officer Norman Reed, moves that coincided with another round of job cuts at the struggling crypto platform. While the U.S. Bankruptcy Court for the District of Delaware has granted the crypto exchange, FTX, permission to sell, invest, and hedge its crypto holdings, valued at over $3.4 billion, to settle outstanding debt. Soloway noted that this news coincided with a recent drop in Bitcoin's price. If another exchange were to hold a substantial amount of Bitcoin and run into issues, it might have a ripple effect on Bitcoin's price. Let's take a look at the few clips from interview.
For the first time yesterday, I saw something positive in the chart. And we know, the last time we discussed it, I thought this 31,000 area was just epic support going back to the bull market lows of 2021 and right through here and right through this area as well. And basically, one of the things that concerned me since we were at those highs is you had the good news on Ripple. We had a one-day pop on Bitcoin. The next day, we reversed that entire move. That's never good when you have good news and it reverses a day later. Over here, we had the grayscale news, right? Popped. 2 days later, it reverses. The first positive thing here was that we had a down move here on, I believe this was Monday, and Tuesday we finally got a reversal in the opposite direction and are following it up today with another green day. So for me, this is a positive, short-term positive signal. The other positive thing too is that I was very concerned about Bitcoin potentially making a lower low for the first time here, right? Very clear, low, higher low, higher low, higher low. And if we pierced this low, I know it seems kind of crazy because it's so minuscule in terms of a lower bit, but if we had pierced it right here, that would have been a lower low. We did not do that, so that held. So at least if you're a bull, you have something to ride right now saying, okay, price action all of a sudden reversed a down move for once, and we still have higher lows in the chart. Short term, technically, that is a positive for Bitcoin. I do think if Binance as a whole disintegrated, right, if we saw a big collapse there, I think the U.S. area, it's tolerable because, again, it's a smaller portion of their business. But I do think that if we saw some major fraud in Binance, I mean, that would be an opportunity for the bigger crypto markets to take another slam down. And I think what the biggest issue is how many coins are these bigger exchanges holding? Like recently, just in the last week, we've heard about FTX finally getting approval to unload a lot of their coins. And again, we saw kind of the downtick just the other day in Bitcoin. And what if you have another exchange that holds X amount of Bitcoin? What does that do to Bitcoin's price? So these are the kind of issues. I mean, I think for the most part, Bitcoin is now free of regulatory oversight. We know that it's more of a commodity. So that's positive, but you still have these kind of potential for bad actors out there. And I don't think we've kind of discovered all of them yet.
With FTX liquidity issues rising again, the news directly affects Solana price, leading to a breakdown. Falling 6% in a day, the threat of Solana being dumped increases the threat of Solana's price returning to a single-digit value. Soloway mentioned that if Solana's price drops a bit further and reaches the vicinity of 1650, it would coincide with a flat trend line starting from a previous low. In such a scenario, he sees an opportunity to buy Solana at around 1650. During the interview, Soloway pointed out that Ethereum had previously been showing a positive pattern of forming higher lows, which is generally seen as a good sign in technical analysis. He also noted that Ethereum had recently broken this pattern by creating a lower low, which indicate Ethereum is relatively weaker than Bitcoin. Let's take a look at the few clips from interview.
Solana for me on the chart here, and this is a beautiful chart. We've been in this kind of channel, right? Perfectly parallel channel. Here's your highs. Here's your low pivot here, and here's your low pivot here. Now, for me as a technician, if we just see a little bit more downside in Solana into this area, we have this flat trend line from this low right through here and the lower band of that channel. And that's right around 1650. So for me as a technician, I'm waiting to buy there. I still think Solana potentially has a bright future, assuming you allocate it properly in your portfolio with a small amount. But for me, it's a buy around $16.50. And again, that's just following the channel. And that's what technical trading is, right? We're not trying to overthink it. I'm just taking note that every time it hits this line, we get a bounce. And every time it hits this top line, it pulls back. And so I'm just looking to get that advantage in the chart. And that chart says buy around 1650 on Solana.
And I'm going to give you kind of a comparison here, an Ethereum play versus a Solana play. How would you look at those two tokens?
That's a tough question. So, I mean, just looking at the Ethereum chart at least first, right? So what we do see is that we broke that same line that Bitcoin broke, that upsloping trend line. The difference between Ethereum and Bitcoin is that we had a higher low here, right? Low, higher low, higher low, higher low. We actually made a lower low. So if you compare the two, Bitcoin and Ethereum, Ethereum is technically weaker, which makes sense, further out on the risk curve, and also it's kind of a pseudo altcoin. It's not quite an altcoin like we think about some of the other ones, but it's still, again, is not a Bitcoin. Now, we did make a lower low, but right now you're holding on to this pivot low. So I think as long as you hold on to this 1545 level, we could continue to move up. Resistance would be around 1865, right up in this trend line zone here. Now, again, my only concern with Ethereum is, do you have a head and shoulders here? All right, so again, another technical pattern, but a very clear head and shoulders that has broken. And the way you do head and shoulders patterns is to find the target price, right? You basically do a drop from the highest point to the neckline here, and you take that same $650 move and you say, okay, where did it break? And you drop that down, and essentially you get a move down into this $1,100 range. So again, I don't know if this will play out, but it is a chart pattern that has my attention that could signal a little bit of a move lower. I mean, it doesn't have to be right now. It could be in a week, 2 weeks, a month, or 2 months from now, but it would be something that I would just kind of pay attention to. And honestly, like I said, I'm short-term, very short-term positive on Bitcoin, but I do think the midterm is still murky, mainly because we're starting to see this macro data shaping up that's very concerning. Yeah. Inflation's inching up a little bit. It's going to make it harder for the Fed to come print money when the economy stutters. And if the stock market, right, if we take the NASDAQ, let's just say we enter a recession or stagflation, the stock market, let's say, drops 20, 25%. Where is Ethereum? Where is Bitcoin if that happens? And I would just dare say that probably lower based on risk, reduction.
On Wednesday, Bitcoin rose to $26,350 during U.S. afternoon hours, but slightly retraced after the FTX news. Bulls attempted to hold the Bitcoin price above $26,000, but failed to defend increasing selling pressure near resistance level. Other major cryptocurrencies moved roughly in line with Bitcoin, like Ether. This concludes our discussion for today. We encourage you to share your thoughts in the comment section below. If you found this video informative, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our channel to stay informed on the latest news and videos. Thanks for joining us.